Hi, everyone. It is Black Spring with Autumn on your Monday, and I could not resist. So let's see what shakes loose. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I hope you guys are doing well out there. Hi, Marcy T. Oh my God. What a deal. I just had to bring you guys this piece right now. I just had to. No. Same thing. Same script, same threads, same wires, same, I just had to come in and share this with you guys. But first, let's everybody check your status because we have some other things that have resurfaced. As closer we get to these selections, the more of the same things just start to loop and cycle. This program is brought to you in part by our sponsors and our viewers like you. AZ Infidel, Derek C. Williams, Melinda, Marcy T, TDOA, Freedom's March, Independent Menu United, Joseph Francis Burton, Luciano, Zero the Infinite, Uncool Paranoia, and Anarchy Television. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. And if you haven't, get over to Rumble. Okay, so I really appreciate it. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time because, of course, there's too many things out there to tap into. But this particular thing, we're talking about, you know, food and New York City. My gosh, New York City will not be outdone. They will not. Okay, and I'll show it to you right now. Hope you guys are doing well. I just want to say thank you to our friends over on Twitch really quickly. I won't forget about them. Alrighty, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's sink our teeth into it. For lack of a better phrase, let's do that. Okay, hope you guys are doing well out there. I just want to go ahead and share this with you. So please go over to Rumble if you haven't. Please get over to Rumble. Of course, we never know what's going to happen in these times. But first, I want to go over taking this first liner, right? Our liner here. This is the main piece. This is the main course of today. The main course of this evening's broadcast is going to be brought to you by our friends over at the children's health defense.org. So I want to share this with you because not too long ago we were talking about worms for dinner, right? And Europe wanting to back, insect-based food and mealworms and those kinds of a thing. And just we've talked about this in Schwab and this new industrial revolution. Every time the world has seen an industrial revolution, it's always a disruption, and it's always met either with the writers or the writers have responded to the challenges that every industrial revolution that's come along. So to me, this one will be no different. Okay, we could go back to World War I, World War II, technology, and this time technology is basically going to take over. Now that's my contention. But let's start here first. This is all coming to me. This we form agenda is coming close. Okay, and I'm going to say this: climate change to me is more or less under the auspices of an allegory. Okay, I'm just looking at it that way. It's an allegory for something, but it is, it's an allegory. Let's put it that way. Okay, so here we go. This was published on 5/16, New York, to track residents' food purchases and place caps on meat served by public institutions. New York City will be tracking the carbon footprint of household food consumption and putting caps on how much red meat can be served in public institutions as part of a sweeping initiative to achieve a 33% reduction in carbon emissions from food by 2030. Now, we've talked about this before. We've talked about bite labs. We've talked about just meat. We've talked about all these alternatives that have come out. Okay, so you see that this is a part of the allegory. When I refer to the CC here, I'm saying the allegory. Okay, so this was under the penmanship of Brenda Belletti. All right. So it says New York City will begin tracking the carbon footprint of household food consumption and putting caps on how much red meat can be served in public institutions as part of a sweeping initiative to achieve a 33% reduction in carbon emissions from food by 2030. 2030. Okay. Mayor Eric Adams and representatives from the Mayor's Office of Food Policy and Mayor's Office of, guess what, Climate and Environmental Justice announced the new programs last month at Brooklyn's Culinary Center run by the NYC Health Plus hospitals, the city's public healthcare system, just before Earth Day. At the event, the Mayor's Office of Climate, Environment, and Environmental Justice shared a new chart to be included in the city's annual greenhouse gas inventory that publicly tracks the carbon footprint created by household food consumption, the Gothamist reported. The city already produced emissions data from energy use, transportation, and waste as part of the annual inventory. But the addition of household food consumption data is part of a partnership that London and New York launched with American Express, C40 Cities, and EcoData Lab. Commissioner Rohit Agrawala from the NYC Department of Environmental Protection announced at the event. Agrawala, who founded Google Smart City, how convenient, subsidiary, Sidewalk Labs. Let's check it. Well, don't forget about Bite Labs. I think they yanked it down. Shout out to Uncool Paranoia. I'm sure she remembers Bite Labs quite well. Okay, or Just Meat. All right, but we'll keep going here. Celebrated the expanded data collection as forging a, quote, a new standard for what cities have to do. Do you hear it? You have to do it. And a new way to shape policy. He said the inventory also will measure greenhouse gas pollution from the production and consumption of other consumer goods like apparel, whether or not those items are made in New York City. It also tracks emissions tied to services like air travel and healthcare. But Adams' presentation at the event focused on food consumption, particularly meat and dairy. Quote, food is the third biggest source of cities' emissions, right after buildings and transportation, Adams said. Quote, but all food is not created equal. The vast majority of food that is contributing to our emissions crisis lies in meat and dairy products, end quote. He added, quote, "It is easy to talk about the emissions that's coming from buildings and how it impacts our environment, but we now have to talk about beef. And I don't know if people are ready for this conversation," end quote. Adams, a vegan who, according to a whistleblower, also eats fish, credits his, quote, "plant-based diet," end quote, for his recovery from diabetes. He's the author of, quote, "Healthy at Last, a plant-based approach to preventing and reversing diabetes and other chronic illnesses," end quote, a vegan cookbook. Adams claims that changing New Yorkers' eating habits will have both climate and health benefits. He said, quote, "We already know that a plant-powered diet is better for your physical and mental health, and I am living proof of that. But the reality is that thanks to this new inventory, we're finding out it is better for the planet." But agricultural economists and regenerative farmers say that calculation isn't actually that simple. Quote, "Different meats have different kinds of greenhouse gas footprints," end quote, "because of differences in the production system, and, quote, all land is not created equal," end quote. Melissa McKendry, PhD, an agricultural economist at Michigan State University, told The Defender. Land that is suitable for cattle production, such as rangeland and pasture, often isn't suitable for other types of agriculture, and vice versa. And all of those different ecosystems for different plants and animals, when working well, work together to create a healthy ecosystem. Alternative grazing systems like regenerative agricultural systems that McKendry researches make it possible for pasture-raised beef, quote, "to sequester carbon and to become a carbon sink," end quote, actually reducing the greenhouse gas footprint of food production rather than adding to it. Regenerative livestock farmer Will Harris told The Defender, quote, "As a practitioner who has been regenerating depleted land for 30 plus years, I can tell you that regenerating land is about restarting the cycles of nature that have been broken by industrial farming. And restarting those cycles cannot be done cost effectively without animal impact." He continued, quote, "All ecosystems evolved with certain kinds of animal impact, and to say we've misused technology to break these cycles of nature and we are going to start them back by leaving out this essential ingredient that has been around for millennia is wrong." Quote, "Sadly, there's a percentage of the populace that for whatever reason has decided that animals in the ecosystem are bad, and the way to have a healthier planet is to give up that animal impact." Quote, "Many of us have proven that there is a ecological benefit to having animal impact in the equation. It has to be done right, but when it is done right, there is an ecological benefit, an ecological service that we provide." Quote, "But this sector of society is so committed to the vegetarian vegan solution that it doesn't matter what we demonstrate. They are going to paint us with that same brush." Quote, "They drown out our voices by screaming the same misapplied science over and over and over." Okay, your next subheader says organizations 15, sorry. "The partnership between American Express, New York, London, and C40 cities to map urban emissions was formally launched last week in a C40 press release. The groups will map the consumption based on emissions of both New York and London. The press release does not make the purpose of emissions mapping inventories explicit. It simply states the inventories, quote, will enable London and New York City to develop a suite of actions to incentivize more sustainable consumption in collaboration with people and businesses, end quote. It adds that the project, quote, will also pioneer new ways for other cities to measure emissions from urban consumption, end quote, adding that there is a, quote, urgent need to reduce the emission impact of urban consumption, especially what is eaten and the waste in food systems. To that end, quote, building data inventories in partnership with city businesses such as supermarket chains and retailers is important for cities to measure, plan, and act to ensure our cities become better places to live for all people and sustainable business can thrive. Okay. I'll keep going here. The press release bases its claim on a report by the University of Leeds and developer Arup Group. Arup is a Rockefeller-supported World Economic Forum affiliated organization that uses, quote, here we go, familiar, the FIR, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, quote, technologies to transform cities. They promise to immense quantities of highly detailed data, end quote, can produce a, quote, new level of control, making possible, end quote, more efficient and sustainable use of the world's precious materials. The report assesses consumption-based emissions in the C40 cities across the world produced by food, clothing, transportation, building, infrastructure, and household appliances, and calls for those emissions to be halved by 2030. In the same press release, Adams announced that New York has signed onto the C40 Good Food Cities Accelerator, where signatory cities commit to achieving, quote, planetary health diet, end quote, by 2030, defined by more, end quote, plant-based foods, end quote, less meat and dairy, and less food waste overall. C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group is also one of the forces driving the implementation of a 15-minute city projects across the world. So this is all, you see how these puzzle pieces fit together. Your 15-minute city is absolutely going to be governed. Your consumption of everything is going to be. You see, it's not just the food, the clothing, the buildings, everything. We'll backpedal in just a second. We'll go back in just a second. But here I just want to front load this first. The group comprises 96 mayors of cities around the world. So there you go. I told you guys the other day we're 36 cities. I think they've already chosen. So you've got 96 mayors, which is more than twice that. That's more like 3 times the amount of mayors of cities from around the world. Is funded by major corporations and philanthropic foundations on urban activism for CC, the allegory climate change. Then Mayor of London, Mayor Ken Livingstone, founded C40 in 2005 when he convened mayors from 18 cities to agree to cap climate emissions. In 2006, C40 merged with the Clinton Climate Initiative. The players. In July 2020, the group published a framework for cities to, guess what? Build back better. Bloomberg Philanthropies is one of C40's major funders. Former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg previously unsuccessfully tried to impose top-down changes on how New Yorkers consume by instituting a wide-scale ban on large sodas and other sugary drinks. The policy was struck down by a state Supreme Court judge. All right, so here's your other header. I missed it earlier. Will meat caps really lower emissions and improve health? Okay, so here we go. Mayor Adams' announcement about the C40 Good Food Cities Declaration suggests the city will be serving less meat in the future to meet its 2030 goals. Officials from his administration did not specify the targets or standards that would be used, but did indicate there would be quote, caps on meat. Katie McKenzie, executive director of the mayor's office of food policy, explained that the standards they are developing, quote, set maximums for the number of times that red meat can be served each week, and really introduces the plant-based proteins and flour for that, end quote. Wow. Quote, so it's really the caps on meat, end quote, she said, adding that the city has been moving in this direction already. New York already instituted, quote, Meatless Mondays as a joint initiative by Adams and former Mayor Bill de Blasio in 2019. Quote, Vegan Friday began in public schools last year, where children are served food such as prepackaged burritos that received reviews such as, quote, nasty, end quote, and sad, end quote, on the Brian Lure WNYC call-in show. Meals in city hospitals have been made vegetarian by default, although people can request meat if they prefer. New York spends roughly $300 million buying food for schools, homeless shelters, hospitals, prisons each year. According to the NYC Food Policy Dashboard, the city spends only about 1% of its food budget on, quote, ruminant meats, end quote. New York's initiative is part of a broader move by global policymakers towards targeting the food system and meat in particular as a source of emissions. Proposals have ranged from an outright ban on meat consumption to various types of incentives to minimize meat consumption, encourage lab grown or alternative meat production, to putting extra taxes on meat or forcing animal farmers to stop producing, as in the case of the Dutch farmers. You see how this thing comes so full circle. Okay, we're never too far behind our European, our European friends. Meat bans, McKendry said, are, quote, the most extreme policy for addressing environmental impact on meat production. Think about what we ban. We ban toxic chemicals like Agent Orange and things that we know have those environmental impacts, end quote. She continued, quote, but when we think about making policies, we have to ask, what's the issue of concern? And we want to try to target that exact issue. So if our concern is reducing greenhouse gas emission, then put policies in place to directly reduce carbon and greenhouse gas emissions. But banning beef doesn't have a direct carbon or greenhouse gas emissions effect. It creates a reduction in meat consumption. Instead, she said policymakers could consider a wide range of other policies, from creating certified products to subsidies to taxes to education through cooperative extension at universities like hers that would support farmers to produce meat using regenerative practices. Quote, I think there's other options and opportunities besides banning or capping meat products, end quote, she said. In its March 2023 report on U.S. biotechnology and biomanufacturing innovation, the White House emphasized a coming focus on climate-centric agriculture in the biotech industry. The report followed the September 2022, quote, executive order on advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing innovation for sustainable, safe, and secure American bioeconomy, end quote, which paves the way for biotechnology to take over food production by opening the door to more lab-grown meats and bioengineered plant foods. Specific plans in the March, quote, bold goals, end quote, report include reducing methane emissions from agriculture by 30% by 2030, in part by reducing methane emissions from ruminant livestock. As policymakers across the world crack down on meat production, the alternative to meat markets, lab-grown meat industry, and insect protein markets are booming. Maybe we should highlight that. I'll take my chances with it. Just give me a second here. I won't keep going through this. I'll keep plowing. So we're almost to the end. Hold on. Many meat alternatives require energy-intensive production and are ultra-processed, so have serious environmental and health impacts. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and depression are but a few examples of conditions known to be promoted and exacerbated by a processed food diet. For example, a December 22 study in Sweden found many plant-based meat alternatives have very high phytate levels, anti-nutrients that inhibit the absorption of minerals in the human body. As a result, while the meat substitute may appear to contain many necessary nutrients such as iron, the body can't absorb them, according to a report in Nutrition Insight. Harris said the processed foods that will likely replace the meat that they are taking out of the meals are, quote, less healthy, less good for the environment, and less good for the local rural economy that is rebounding by raising food right. There's a lot of losers in this. See, yeah, but where have we heard this stuff before? Oh my goodness, I have a lot of comments here. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh wow, what a mess! But are we surprised? We've talked about bite labs. We've talked about just meat. We've talked about these we've talked about these protein substitutes. We've talked about the Impossible burgers. We've talked about Bill Gates. And I mean, that's exactly what they want to do. This is in lockstep with the allegory climate change. Now, you will hear me refer to it as an allegory because it's not, the climate to me is far from what the concern is. Okay. This planet has never been. It's not ours to control. You don't own, like people in California like say, oh, well, you pay for the sunshine here, but since when did you buy? Since when did you have a broker? And how much sun are you paying for? How is sun measured? Is it measured in therms? Help me out here. Let me say hi to some people in here. I know Marcy T's here. Independent Men United is here. Melinda. Oh yeah, they're gonna save everything for themselves, okay? But tell you that it's bad. But I'm telling you, this is not. Listen. Just from this article alone, you can tell it's not going to just your 15-minute city is what it's going to be. You're going to have all kind of caps in there. Your clothing capped, just based on this article. You can see the amount of control that will be implemented there. Okay, we've got. What do we do? Let's see. I think we kind of mulled over it pretty good between Uncool Paranoia and BiteLabs.com. And what was it? The celebrity meets. You guys remember that? I'm telling you, they're pushing it. Like you've got these startup companies. They are they're invested. They are invested in these alternative meats. Meat in a dish, lab-grown meats, your fish, cell-based meat. We've talked about this here. Celebrity meat, celebrity salami. We talk everything that they're pushing. It's an allegory. It's not about your health. It's not about the earth. It's not about the climate. It's not. It is about. Okay, so it looks like Bite Labs. I guess we milled over it quite a bit, and they took it down. So you can start to see how they're starting to take things down. I've got the video for you. This video never gets old. I appreciate you guys so much. So just hang right on in here. I just want you to see how this is done. Dare I say, I don't know what the frequency is for 666 or 66. I know what A442 and A444 is, but I'd love to know what A6 is. There an A666 sounds like? But hang real tight here. I'm going to share this with you. We'll come back to this. This thing was loaded with all types of. You have the powers that be. These cities and mayors have pretty much sold people out, signing them on for these cities, these smart cities, signing them on for the initiatives. Now you're going to get your meat controlled. Okay. So goodbye to that. So let me give you this. Just go down memory lane with me just for a second. If you don't mind, please indulge, or please just humor me just for a second here, because I want you to see what's, whoops. I took this Bite Labs things before, but the only thing that's surviving right now is this actual commercial. So let's go for it. Let's get your audio chops ready. Okay. Audio chops, take 2. Okay, do you see how they're talking? They're selling you out right now. They're talking about celebrities. So just watch the language, and here we go. Celebrity meat. Sun God worship. Yeah. They take celebrity cells. Okay, did you see that? Did you see that cannibalism in there? Yeah. Let's see. I'm seriously. They want you. What did I say that song? We've got stars directing our fate, and we praying it's not too late. For we know we've fallen from grace, millennial. I'm sorry, guys. Isn't that wicked? The more I think about those, the more I think about those lyrics, holy smokes! Did you guys hear that? It's almost like I heard it for the first time myself. So let me grab that for you. How are you guys doing out there anyway? Robbie Williams. He'll probably copyright me for this, but I just want to grab the lyrics. It's on the chorus of this thing. Millennium. See, I just said it. We've got stars directing our fate, and we are praying it's not too late, though we know we've fallen from grace. Millennium. Does that sound? See, here it is. Here it is. I'm just going to pull it up right here. So they tell us all the time. They tell us all the time exactly what they want us to know. They're telling you your fate. They're telling you they've fallen from grace. So they're letting you know we fell a long time. They fell a long time ago, but they're going to direct your fate now. Is that all right? Will that be all right? Even though they've fallen from grace, that's exactly what you need is some direction from them, right? Okay, so let me show you those lyrics. I swear, like, who was it that said the movies are real and the news is fake? I tell you, the lyrics are real. The lyrics are real. I think these are all allegories to me. Most of these artists they've created allegories, futuristic allegories is what I'm thinking. In their lyrics, futuristic allegories. You have some authors, that are like that too. George Arthur Blair, George Orwell. I always want to say Ray Bradbury too. Okay, give me just a second here. Sorry about that, guys. I hope you guys are doing well out there. I appreciate your patience and everything. But this is we got a little revelations here. Thank God for revelations, right? Okay, so here we go. You see this here? This is a chorus here. We've got stars directing our fate, and we're praying it's not too late. Millennium. Okay, but then he expands on it a lot more. He expands it the very next time. We've got stars directing our fate, and we're praying it's not too late because we know we're falling from grace. Millennium. Okay, so this basically to me is not basically all of the evils or all the worldly things. So what makes you fall from grace is indulging in this stuff, right? Shout out to Marcy T. Says, no one invited these clowns to choose our dinner for us. The big liars. Yeah. Well, meat caps. Marcy said, that's a new one. And Melinda says, why not go back to meatless Fridays? All good Catholics grew up that way. Marcy says, speaking of meat, I'm starving. I have to go make some dinner. Eat the bugs. Yeah, Schwab. Meanwhile, he's probably, loading his bunker with whatever. Loading whatever this guy, I would imagine he doesn't have a lot of friends. He probably doesn't. But the vegan, you hear how they're using, they use scientific propaganda to talk people into stuff. You see what I'm saying? They use statistical propaganda to do that. He wants to try to say, he wants to bring his diabetes. He wants to bring in his pathos, Oh, he wants to bring in all this. Oh, he's got a cookbook, by the way, vegetarian cookbook. Yeah, because we all know that a one size fits all diet is going to work for everybody, right? That's how that works. Okay. Well, I was thinking about putting the pendulum out, but I appreciate you guys tuning in with me. But yeah, I just had to bring this out because I just want you to see how. Oh, shout out to Mr. Pearson that they've had a bunch of meetings this week. Bilderberg and a couple of other meetings have gone on. But yeah, these people are planning the future. Okay, I'm just saying your 15-minute cities will include these meetcaps. New York, they are showing you. They're showing you how it's going to go. All right. your meatless Monday or whatever, your Friday, vegan Fridays, you're going to, in a minute, you're not going to have meat at all. Okay. And after that, they're going after your clothes and, we dumb plebes. We don't know anything. They know what's best for us. Build back better, right? Are you guys getting better? Are you feeling better? Are you feeling better? Okay. Well, I wasn't sure, but I just wanted to, So chew on that, for lack of a better phrase. Chew on that, because not to mention the report that they're coming up with. What is it? The Rockefeller, World Economic Affiliated Organizations, and the Clintons. I mean, all these people. It's spores. Okay, it's all connected. Okay, and they could call it conspiracy all they want. They'll probably try to come in here with their hack check and try to add something in here. But we got the context. Yeah, we do. We got that covered. Thank you, but no, thank you. So just look at these organizations. I mean, if we go to the C40, that's out of London. So New York, London, they're probably on tap to be, what are there, 30-something cities that have volunteered to be chartered as smart cities? 36 cities? Let's see, smart cities, 36. What a number. Imagine that, 36. Yeah, they've only tapped a couple, but I'm pretty sure New York and California are the cities in there. LA, New York. I imagine that they're definitely not going to go without including those for the states. Okay, so they'll tell you about the promise that the report assesses consumption-based emissions in the C40 cities across the world produced by food. So they're going to control everything, the type of clothing you can buy across the world produced by food, clothing, transportation, building infrastructure, and household appliances, calls for those emissions to be halved. So you're probably going to end up with plant-based clothes, bottled jeans, or whatever the heck. Who knows? Whatever they want to do. It's a social experiment. It's a global initiative. We Forum and their think tanks, their cities, we're all set. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you so much for tuning in. And so if you get a chance, please go over and visit us. Please go over and tune into Rumble. We don't know what our time here is like. We don't know the daytime or hour. We don't know. We don't know that in the spiritual. We don't know that in the literal either. Okay. So I just appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Per usual, I really do. So go on over and check with us on Rumble and check with us on Twitch. Okay. I really appreciate it. So let's have one more commercial, and I want to thank everybody. Thank everybody for coming in. I really appreciate it. So let's give a shout to our friends, and we'll be right back. Please support our Rumble Drive. right, guys. So I'm going to see you guys later. Just want to say thank you so much to Melinda, Marcy T, Independent Men United. So nice to see you, Independent Men United. Thank you so much. Let's see, did I miss anybody? I really appreciate you guys so much. And yeah, get on over. Please make sure you subscribe. And so that you can follow us wherever we are. All right, guys, have a great rest of your Monday. And I'll try to get back ASAP. But there's a lot to chew on, for the lack of a better phrase. But I'll see you guys soon. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see what happens between now and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay? All right, guys.